Hi there, this is Art and Such with my Rainbow Loom tutorial for Reptile from Mortal Kombat. This is to go with the rest of my set. We're going to be making the torso a tiny bit shorter than what you see here, and we're going to cut the legs down a little bit too. But otherwise, we can begin with some skin tone, black bands, lime green bands, a couple of hooks, a C-clip or two, and your loom in the offset configuration. So we're going to make the arms first. We're going to add the black bands after. For the arms themselves, we just need some skin tone bands. And we begin with 2 skin tones, which will be wrapped onto the hook 1, 2, and 3 times. And then this will go on to 7 sets of double bands. Let's find one that's not too stretchy here. Now I'm using one of the paler shades of the skin tone, but you can really use any one that you like. It's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. We'll make the second arm in just a minute, but first let me show you how to add the little armbands. What I've done is I've taken a single black, stretched it out, popped it over the arm, and then we twist it to a figure 8 and bring it back over the arm. Twist it again and bring it over one more time. And I'm going to repeat this a little closer, like to the wrist area, and one a little bit higher up by the kind of upper biceps. So you're just going to twist it around twice and maneuver it into place where you want it. The last one's going to go right up near the top. Twist it twice and adjust. Maybe we'll bring that down just a little bit here. And let's make our other arm. We'll go a little bit faster this time. Take those first 2, wrap them 1, 2, 3 times, and pull onto 7 sets of double skin tone bands again. And 7. We'll get those black bands handy once more. You need 3 per arm, though you're welcome to experiment and use different numbers here, but I think the 3 look kind of nice. And each one gets twisted twice into place and maneuvered into position. If you're finding your band looks really loose, you might have a stretched out band, and it might be a good idea to just get another one that's still really firm in its shape. You don't want to stretch these ones out too much, because then they'll be a little bit loose and slippy. Alright, so our arms are ready. I'm going to slide these onto a second hook, but you're welcome to leave them on your single hook here if you want. We're going to do the legs next, and we're using Kate Schultz's boot design, but we're extending it a little bit. So you're going to take 2 blacks, wrap them 1, 2, 3 times onto your hook, and slide onto 2 more black bands. Replace the end, slide it over, take 2 more bands, wrap 1, 2, 3 times. Now you're going to take from your first set the first 2 bands, 2 loops on the side, and bring them over your newly wrapped band. We're going to bring another 2 bands through everything that's on your hook and try to keep it in order as best you can. Put your other end back, take another 2, wrap them on the end, so you're moving your first piece over 1, 2, 3 times. Bring the closer side over, so your new wrapped band is now in the middle, and we're going to connect these all by placing them onto a doubled over single band. So take a single, stretch it, twist it, pull one end onto the other, and bring all your bands on top. You can slide them a couple at a time if it's easier. Now in my initial design I used 7 sets of green, and I'll tell you the numbers as we go, but this time I'm going to do 2 shorter. So we've got 2 sets of double green bands, and you bring it through the black from your boot. And then I did initially, like for this I did 4 sets with 3 bands each. This time I'm only going to do 2 sets with 3 bands in them. So here's one group of 3. We bring them all through, and here's the other. Make sure we've got them all. And then I'm just going to take another 2 bands and put those through. So just to compare, you can see it's going to be just about this much shorter. If you want the longer leg, you can do it with all 7. Just going to transfer this onto the hook that has the arms. Then we'll make the second boot. 2 bands, wrapped 3 times, pulled onto 2 black bands. Replace, slide it over, and wrap another 2 at the end. 1, 2, 3 times. Bring one side of your first set over so that your new wrapped one is in the middle, and slide it all onto another 2. The reason we're doing this twice is so that our boot has kind of a longer look. Take 2, wrap them 1, 2, 3 times, bring one side over the other, and we're going to do another doubled over single to bring everything together. So slide that through all your pieces and replace. And we had 2 sets of double green. Two sets of 3 bands. And one more set with 2 green bands in it. You can put this on your holding hook, or again you can leave it where it is. We're not going to be using it quite yet because it's almost time for us to go to our loom. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to make the body first, and we're kind of going to do this in a couple of sections, and then afterwards we'll go back and we'll attach it to our face. So we're going to start with our neck piece. If you want it to be long, you can put 2 sets, and if you want it to be thick, you can put an extra set. I'm just going to come down once using 2 bands down the center row. Then we come to either side with double black bands, going from your second center to your second right, and another 2 from your second center to your second left. We're going to go down the middle 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times using double blacks, and that's starting at the second peg down and moving downwards. Three, 4, and 5. Now on either side we're going to switch to green. We're going to come down with green, and we're going to do this until, well, let's do it until it's in line with the black, and then we'll kind of count it from there. My notes are a little funny because of the length changes I'm making here, but we'll get it all sorted out. So I'm using double bands, or 2 bands on each of these sets coming down. Alright, let's come down some more. We're going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4 more times on either side with double green bands. This is going to be towards making the center of the skirt part. And the opposite side will continue down 4 times. And in the middle we're going to switch to green. We're going to come down 5 times, starting at your 7th peg down. Alright, from here you're going to take 2 bands and bring them from the 4th peg on the side, if you're counting from the bottom of the loom up, to the 2nd peg from the bottom on the middle. So looking from the bottom of the loom, you count up 1, and you're going from there on the center and skipping the next one and going to the 4th peg up on the side. We'll do this again for the other side, and then you're going to want to cap your center peg off that 2nd one for the bottom. Capping mine 4 times here. Now we're going to need some doubled over holding bands to keep all of this together, and we're using green actually all the way up. We'll do the whole piece right now. So take a single, stretch it, twist it, lift it over, and you're going to go to the 4th peg up on either side, starting at the bottom, and stretch it over the 4th peg up in the center and the 3rd peg from the bottom in the center. So we're making a triangle that will sit just above the last peg that we used. And take another one, another single, double it over, and bring it over your 5th pegs up on each of your rows, if you're counting upwards again. We're going to repeat this going up on all of the sets of 3 above. So let me get these all in order and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, we are ready to loom our first part, and then we'll add the arms, the legs, and the side piece here, and we'll go from there. Some of you are probably racing ahead of me already. I'm going to ask you to be patient because we need to do this together. We're going to stop when we get to the black band in the middle. So go under your cap band, which is on that 2nd peg from the bottom. You're going underneath the last band that you added, and you're going to look for your top 2, the next top 2 bands, which will come up and go over to the right side. Go back inside and get your next 2 and bring them to the left. Carefully you don't pop your cap band off. Try and you can put your finger on top if it helps. Get your last 2 bands from under there and they go straight up. Now we're going to loop up the center until we reach the black. So push back your holding band. And we're going to go 1, 2, 3, and 4 times forward. And then stop right there. On the side, you're coming up 1, 2, 3 times, and repeat it on the right side. I believe it's 3, I'll double check, but I think that's all we need to do there. We might want to do 1 extra, just hang on. Okay, let's go up just one more time so that we're finishing on the peg above and to the side of the black bands. And that will be your 6th peg down. We're going to the 6th peg from the top of the loom. Make sure that your top ones are down nice and firm. And we're going to leave the center bow where it is. On the side, you want to put your thumb over the last band you looped up, and you're going to go to the peg underneath that and take the bands off and carefully bring them to the center, just on the sides. Okay, repeat this on the right side. So hold on to the top one, don't let it come off, and carefully take off your holding bands and your looped up bands on the side. Now we can add our arms. Maybe we'll do our legs first because that's the last thing we put on the loom. Okay, so let's go to black now. We'll go down the sides, and you're going to start at your 6th peg down on the side and take 2 black bands. Come down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. And repeat that on the right side, double bands coming down from your 6th peg 5 times. And we can put our legs on now. They go onto the 3rd peg, counting upwards from the bottom of the loom, right onto that last black band. And repeat it on the opposite side. Trying to angle my foot down so it points the way I want it to. Let's try the other way actually. You can always kind of bend the bands, but it's nice if you can get it the right direction to start. Oh, maybe this is the way. Okay. And your arms go on the 2nd pegs down on either side. I'm just going to sit on top of your green and black bands. Press that down. And this part's a little bit tricky. If you have a hook with a smaller hook, a smaller end on it, I would recommend this, because now what we're going to do is we're going to reach for our green sections from our center piece. You're going to find the top 1 or 2 and bring it over onto the, what is this now? Your 7th peg down on the side. Go in for the next set and get another band or 2, bring it over, and we're going to link this up to all of the corresponding side pegs. This will keep all the pieces together. We'll do the other side and then we'll finish off the bottom part. I'm just grabbing 2 from I'm trying to grab the top 2 each time. Doing this part from a funny angle now. If you're having a really hard time, it's okay to connect it just with 1 band or to take 1 from lower down. Just try to be consistent with whichever method you use. Now, we have a bit of a problem here because if we leave our cap band, our last band, just where it is, we're going to get a bulge in the center and our legs are going to sit a little bit loose. So what we do is we take 2 of the bands and carefully lift it up and bring it over onto one of the sides. These are very tight, so be careful. Take the other 2 and bring them over onto the left side. If you're having a hard time or it's snapping, you can skip this step, but I find it looks a lot nicer. So make sure you've got everything on the loom, and we're going to loop everything straight up. Our center is finished up until the block, so we don't have to worry about this part, but we will go in and do the sides before finishing up the middle. Now you want your bottom 2 bands. They come from the peg above. You're going to reach in, push back everything else, and with the open part of your hook, grab those 2 and bring them over onto your next peg. Push back and get your next bottom 2 block and bring them forward. So you always want the 2 that are coming from the peg above, and you want to make sure you get both of those bands each time. We're going to go straight to the second peg from the top, only taking your bottom 2 bands and pushing back your holding bands if they're in the way. From here we need our 2 black bands, which are coming from the second center. So push back your arm and pull this to the middle. And we're going to loop up on the other side. We're doing the same thing. We're going in under the leg and getting only the bottom 2 black bands. And bringing them forward. This one, I gotta go back for it. There's a little bit of tension on these, so be careful. And keep looping forward all the way to the top again. Come in through the arm and get your black 2 bands and bring them to the center second peg. And let's go back to your 7th peg down. Find your black. Should be right under the last green that you looped, and you're going to take those 2 bands and bring them forward and keep going until you reach the very top of the loom. Alright, now before you take this off, I just want you to be aware we're going to put the body on kind of backwards. So hold on to your neck piece, your neck bands with a holding hook or a toothpick or bamboo skewer or pen, whatever, and just try to remember that you're coming in from on top so that you know which way to place it down later. So we're going to ease this all off, starting with the sides and moving downwards. And then we're actually almost done. We're just got our face to do. If you see any loose bands coming out when you're taking this off, try and grab them quickly so that you can pop it on a C-clip and weave it neatly back in before it becomes a really hard to correct problem. Alright. Okay. Yeah. So let's come back to the loom, and we're going to start on the face. We need a couple of black bands coming from our top center to our top right, and 2 from the top center to the top left. Come down each row with 1 set of double black bands. And then we need a set of skin tone from the second center to the third center, and a set from the second right to the third center. And do that again on the opposite side. The second right and second left coming inwards. We switch to green and we'll come down twice on each of our rows, starting at the second peg down on either side and at the third peg down in the middle. Hold this up for you in just a second. Take 2 bands and come from your 4th side to your 5th center and repeat coming from the opposite direction. And we're going to use doubled over green bands as our holding bands. So take a single, stretch it, twist it, pull it onto itself, and bring it over your 4th pegs down to make a triangle. It's across all rows. Repeat on your 3rd pegs down, and again just above that. Okay, so we want this side to face up. Pick the side you want to face up, and we're going to turn it around so that it faces down when you lay it on your loom, because the back side of the face is a lot neater actually. Pop those bands off of your hook and onto the 5th peg down in the center. I'm going to stretch these just over the next peg so you can see what I'm doing here. Go inside and get your top 2 green and bring them to the left. Take your next 2 to the right, and your last ones are going to go up. And we're going to go on up on either side. Reach in, take your bottom 2 green, bring them forward. Reach in, push back, take your bottom 2 green, bring them forward. And the last set is black, it goes upwards, and then go through that top peg and bring your last 2 bands to the center, top center. Let's loop up on the right side, doing the same thing here. Go up 3 times, get your black, and get your last black and bring it to the center. And now you can go into the under the 4th peg down in the middle and loop up 3 times. Oh, sorry, loop up once. We actually have to get our face in. Uh-oh. Did I jump ahead here? I think I did. We're gonna do the center of the face first. Sorry, backing up a second here. Take your black bands and loop them backwards once, twice. And we'll loop this green back one more time, because we do need to get our skin tone in first. So top 2 go to the right, and then we'll loop forward again. Sorry guys. It's a quick correct though. I thought this project was going too smoothly. It's always something, huh? Okay, I'm gonna reverse my looping on the other side just 2 times here. And again the green. We want the skin to be on this in the center, otherwise it's going to show up on the side of the face. Next 2 go to the side, to the left side. Don't bother. Let's get this baby all straightened out. One and 2, and then we can loop that side back. The greens and the 2 black, and back to the middle and back to the middle. Try to remember to put an annotation in there for you. Now we go under the 3rd peg down in the center and we loop up twice. We're going to pop this all onto a single black band. So get it ready on with your left hand. With your right hand, you're going to take your hook with the open part pointed away from you. Slide it through all of the bands on your top center peg. Grab that single black and slide it through. Turn your hook so that the open part is facing up, and you can put the other end on and pull one side over the other to create a slip knot. And we can take this off of our loom. Okay, so you're going to find your front side, which is the one that has the black on the more on the outside, and you take your securing band. We'll turn to the back for a minute and put your hook under some nearby bands, grab it and pull it under, and this helps us to hide it, and then you can put that onto a C-clip. I'll just put this under another nearby band so that it stays secure. And that is your reptile tutorial. Thank you for watching, and I hope you'll check out some of my other Mortal Kombat and Rainbow Loom tutorials. Thanks for watching. Take care.